So today's video lesson is comparing and ordering fractions, decimals, percents, and scientific notation. Now, one thing that you need to remember is to make sure you change everything to decimals, because then you can easily compare decimals. And in this particular assignment that we're doing, we have to order these in ascending order, which is least to greatest. So let's do number 1. And that's going to be 36 hundredths. Of course, that's already a decimal. 4 tenths. This is a percent, not a decimal. Even though there's a decimal in there, you're going to need to move it twice. So 0 and 425 thousandths. And then that's going to be 41 hundredths. So now let's put them in order least to greatest. And I'm sorry that we are not able to show you the same page at the same time. But the smallest one here is going to be the 4/11ths, followed by 2/5, 4 1/10 times 10 to the negative first, 42.5%. and 43 hundredths. So this is what it should look like in ascending order from least to greatest. All right, let's look at example number 2. Again, changing everything to decimals. So that's going to be 8 tenths. This one is already a decimal. This one, the 7/9 is 7 tenths repeating. Moving the decimal here, that's going to be 81 hundredths, and then 76% is 76 hundredths. Again, we're putting them in order least to greatest, so our smallest one is going to be 76%, followed by 7/9, 790 thousandths, 80%, and then 8.1 times 10 to the negative first. Alrighty, number 3. So again, when you have 10 to the first, or 10 to the 0 power, that is like multiplying by 1. So that's going to stay the same. Make sure you write down your decimal. Moving the decimal 2 places, so that's 242. Making this 200% a decimal, that's 2. 20/3 is 6 tenths repeating. And of course, that number is already a decimal, 2 and 15 hundredths. All right, ordering least to greatest. So that's going to be 200%, 2 and 15 hundredths, 2 and 5 tenths times 10 to the 0 power, 20/3, 2 and 42 hundredths times 10 squared. All right, number 6, or excuse me, not number 6, number 4, 10 to the first. So you're moving your decimal, so that's going to be 61. Moving the decimal, that's 6 and 15 hundredths. Of course, that's already the decimal. This fraction is going to be 625 thousandths, and then this percent is going to be 58%. All right, putting them in order, least to greatest, ascending order. So the smallest one is 58%, followed by 5 eighths. And then next is going to be 68 hundredths, sorry, followed by 600 and, is it 650? Yes, 61 6 and 1/1500%. And then the last one is going to be 6.1 times 10 to the first. All right, oh, there it is. Sorry about that. So then 11% is going to be 1.11 hundredths. 1/10, simply 1/10 as a decimal. 1 6/10, to do the scientific notation, that's going to be 1600ths. Of course, that's your decimal. And then this last one, you're going to be multiplying it by 1, so it's 8.1. All right, so the smallest one is 1/10, followed by 11%. Then you would have, excuse me, 113 thousandths, followed by 1 times 6 tenths times 10 to the negative 1, and then the last one is 8.1 times 10 to the 0 power. All right, our last example. So our first one starts off pretty good. We need to move the decimal 2 places, because remember, we're making a tiny number. Now this one, this kind of gets a crazy decimal, but that's all we're really going to need. It continues on. So a lot of people forget about this one. The decimal's behind the 6, and you do have to move it forward 2 places, so you're going to have to add a 0. And likewise here, you're trying to make a decimal, so it's 1, 2. So it's 0.005. Yes, very, very tiny. So you've got half of a percent, followed by 0 and 53 thousandths, excuse me. Then next is 5 and 36 hundredths times 10 to the negative 2. That would be 6%. And the greatest of these is going to be 2 and 31 hundredths. All right, oh, let me show you a picture. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our lesson on comparing and ordering fractions, decimals, and scientific notation.